For this lesson, you need to open the sample file employees2 from your sample files folder. Sometimes you'll find yourself working with a table or range that contains a column that must have unique values. For example, consider this list of employees. The employee ID column should never contain the same number listed twice. If it does, an error has occurred because no two employees can have the same employee ID. In cases such as this, it would be very useful to refuse to let the user add duplicate values to column A. This type of restriction is called a unique constraint and is a fundamental feature of database products such as Microsoft Access, SQL Server, and Oracle. Excel doesn't provide an easy way to apply unique constraints directly. Hopefully, it will in a later version. Fortunately, there's an easy way to leverage upon the custom validation feature to add this functionality to Excel 2010 tables. At the moment, it's possible to add a duplicate ID. For example, if I change George Marley's ID so that it's the same as Johnny Kane's ID, Excel doesn't complain. I'll just click the Undo button to reverse that change. And I'll now press Ctrl End to go to the end of the table and press the Tab key to start a new name, and I'll enter 998783 to duplicate Paris Smith's employee ID, and you'll see that Excel doesn't have a problem with that either. But I'm now going to add a unique constraint, and the unique constraint will prevent a user from adding duplicate values on all future occasions. I'll begin by selecting all of the values within the table in column A. A quick way to do this is to click in cell A2 and then press Ctrl-Shift-Down arrow on the keyboard. And you can see that that's selected all of the cells I wanted. Now I'll click Data tab on the ribbon, Data Tools, Data Validation, Settings tab, and I'll tell Excel I want to apply a custom validation. I now need to add a formula that will return true when the value being changed is unique and false when the value is not unique. Once again, we need to get a little ahead of ourselves here because we've not yet covered the function that I'm going to use. This is the COUNTIF function that will be covered in lesson 3.6. But here's the formula I need. Equals COUNTIF, open brackets, A:(A, comma, A2, close bracket, equals 1. Let me briefly explain how this function works. The COUNTIF function returns the number of cells in a range that meet a specific criteria. A:(A defines a range that includes all of the employee ID values, because it means all of the cells in column A. The second argument is the relative reference A2. The function compares the value in the current row within column A to every other value in column A. It should always result in finding only one value. That's the value you're currently entering. If your entry is unique, the COUNTIF function will return the value 1. But if it's not unique, the function will return a number that's greater than 1. As 1 equals 1 is true, the function returns true, which passes the validation when the value is unique, and false, which fails the validation when the value's not unique. Don't worry if this doesn't make complete sense to you at the moment, because, as previously mentioned, the COUNTIF function will be covered in depth later, in lesson 3.6. I'll also add an error alert. The title can be Duplicate Employee ID, and for the error message, the employee ID you have entered already exists in column A. And I'll now click the OK button and test the validation. Let's try doing what I did before. I'll change George Marley's employee ID so that it's the same as Johnny Kane's. So 117362, and when I press the Enter key, a validation error appears. So I'll click Cancel to return George Marley's ID to its correct value. And now I'll move to the end of the table and I'll attempt to enter a duplicate ID for Paris Smith. So 998783, and when I press the Enter key, the validation prevents the duplicate entry from being entered. So I'll click Cancel. All that remains now is to save your work, and I'm going to save with the new name Employees3, and as usual I'll save to the folder above my sample files folder. I click the Save button, and you've now completed Lesson 214, Use a Custom Validation to add a unique constraint to a column.